If you could talk a little bit about the influence of the Latin American fighters and their fans for the growth of UFC to get to this special moment.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Mexican fighters in my boxing days, and it's always been an important market for me. I always wanted to, I'll tell you a story. So we just did a fight down in Mexico City, right?
Mm.
And we're driving to the arena, and on the way we pass a playground, swing sets, monkey bars, all the shit you see in any playground. There was a boxing ring in the middle of the little kid playground.
Hmm.
That's how much boxing is ingrained in the history and the culture in Mexico. So for me to someday put on an event where we have not only top 15 fighters from Mexico, but world champions from Mexico was a big deal for me. So now, last year, we put on our first Noche UFC, which was incredibly successful and great. And now this opportunity arose after I went to the Sphere, and I jumped on it immediately for us to be the first ones to pull off a live sporting event there and during UFC Noche. So I literally went to watch you two. Halfway through it, I fell in love with this whole concept of the Sphere. And I called Craig and said, I don't know what you're doing next weekend, but cancel it. You and the team are coming here, and I want you to walk through this and start planning on, we're going to do an event here. We're going to be first.
Awesome. I haven't been inside the Sphere yet, but obviously with the images that have been coming out the past 11 months, I will hopefully be there on the 14th of September. So that will be a brand new experience as well for me. Would you describe?
You're going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. I've seen some of those concerts. It's just unbelievable. I'm very excited about that.
So if you take what the concerts did and multiply it by 1 million, that's what we're doing on September 14th. Okay,
that's a very Dana type of comment I was expecting. So I'm not surprised.
Take you two, multiply it by 1 million. That's what you're going to see September 14th.
Craig, but I did hear that you were kind of like the brains of it, like in regards of the production value. I don't know if that's true, but how were you like involved, or what was the vision when putting it together?
I was the brains that was smart enough to bring an amazing team together. That's much more talented than I am. So I did play a little bit of the GM role and assemble an absolutely all-star team in a variety of different areas: visual effects, feature film, production execution. So we have an unbelievable group of collaborators that have came into this whole process early on and collaborated together within the groups to come up with this concept that we're going to execute on the 14th.
So I also heard that this will be a one-time thing, but obviously anything can change, anything can develop eventually. But are you guys still considering this date to be a recurring event every year, regardless if it is in the Sphere or not?
Well, what I would love to do is, if everything goes to plan and the fights are great, I think we reformat this thing after the show, and you could keep running this live in the Sphere for a year. People could come into town. They do that show Postcards there. You could come in and experience this fight night for the next year, if we can pull it off the way we want to and format it right, and if the Sphere is interested in that. But as far as doing another live event there, I have a deal with MGM. So after this, Noche UFC, we go back to T-Mobile.
Okay. This is obviously a very complex and expensive show. As you have said before, at the end of the night, when everything is said and done, you're sitting by yourselves, I don't know, drinking your champagne, whatever you want to, however you celebrate. What will be the measure in your minds for success? For you to say, this was a successful night for this reason, 1, 2, 3.
So in my perspective, we have all the parts and pieces. What we're attempting on September 14th has never been done before. And the complexity of this show is at a level that's unexplainable to people that don't understand what we do. So that night, if it all runs off together seamlessly, we already have all the pieces. I'm blown away by this thing. I could not be happier where we are right now in the process. Now it's about executing and pulling this off seamlessly. If we do that night, I'll be the happiest guy in the world. I don't know what his measure for success is, but that's mine.
Yeah, it really is the same. You know, there's no surprises in what the content that we've been creating. I mean, I was there this morning. I've seen it all hundreds of times. It just keeps getting better and better, and the resolution gets tighter and cleaner. But I know what the assets look like, and we believe in them. Now it's, how do the assets transition from one to the next? How do the fights work? How does the lighting work? We haven't seen any of that, right? We won't see that really until Wednesday night of event week. So making sure that our audio is dialed in, making sure that all of the transitions for lighting, fighter walkouts work. When the fighters are actually in the octagon fighting, that the environment around them isn't too bright. But it's not too dull. It pops on camera well. Oh, you know, making sure all the camera moves are dialed in. It's all that rehearsal in the last 72 hours that we're going to have to get right. If we can do that on show night, that would be my level of, yeah, we were successful.
And then after all that shit happens, then the fights have to be good.
Yeah.
We expect so, for sure. There have been some numbers thrown around that go past $20 million that have been invested for this event. Is it true that it has gone that far? And could you give us a quick rundown on how was that money invested to get to that point?
Yeah, so we're at 20 million now. The budget was never an issue for me. This could have came in at 220 million. I didn't give a shit. We're going to go in and do this first and pull off something that nobody's ever seen before. You know, it's never been done. So when they originally asked him, you know, what's the budget? His original budget was $8 million, and now we're at 20. I'm not sweating the budget. I don't care about the budget, but I'll let him tell you where the money went.
Yeah, I mean, it went to our visual effects partner in Blink, that we're building all of these worlds I was describing. It went to a group called Anti-Gravity that's handling all the actual film creation and all the individual filmmakers that they oversaw. It went to the engineering behind all of the lighting that is going to take place within the Sphere. That was a whole another task that we had to take on early on in the process. And it wasn't easy and it wasn't inexpensive to figure out how to light our octagon without a lighting grid. So though, you know, technically all of the cameras that Glenn Weiss is using from the entertainment side through the entertainment truck, that was, you know, a hefty number to get that dialed in. All of the audio, we have original composition of music with a Grammy award-winning composer. You know, I literally could spend 30 minutes on where all of this kind of spreads out, but those are the kind of the big ticket items.
When we hang up, I'll have Lene send you a list of all the people that are involved in pulling this off creatively and what's been done. But at the end of the day, for me, I want to pull off something that's never been done. I love to do that. We don't cut corners. We do everything the right way. We are going to give the fans that are there live or buy it on pay-per-view one of the most unique, amazing experiences they've ever had in their life. And the fighters who participate in this event that night are going to be a part of something special.
It's going to be like a sensory overload, basically.
1,000,000%. You nailed it. Because we talk about this all the time. The detail in these films are only 90 seconds. So in 90 seconds, you have to suck in all these little details that are inside these worlds that he's talking about. It is phenomenal. It's unbelievable.
Hey, so I could imagine the logical situation, the logical thing will be, just because it's a sphere, the octagon will be right in the middle, surrounding thing. But I wonder how many designs were you presented in regards to where the octagon was going to go, like, or was it just that natural feeling that it has to be in the middle, everything around it? So I haven't seen any designs. I don't know what it's going to look like. So what was that process like?
So my head of PR, Lene, who's a spoiled little brat, she gets whatever she wants, whenever she wants it, has been fighting with me for a week because she wants images to put out to the media. I said, They will get no images. They will see it the night of the event. Nobody's seeing anything till the night of the event. But go ahead, you answer that question.
I was trying to get around with it.
Yeah. The octagon is not perfectly centered, and the reason is because we back in May we did a test with some lighting. We also brought our octagon over, built our octagon, the octagon we're going to use on event night. We built it on the floor and then walked the entire building for sight lines. It happened to be that night that it was too close to the seats and there were some obstructions that we didn't love. And you weren't able to see the closest part of the fence on the octagon. So we pushed it back several feet to get it into the sweet spot. The other thing is we have some other technology that plays into the way we cover the fights, like an overhead camera, which has to be positioned in a certain part of the dome where one of the LED panels opens up so we can shoot a camera through that little window. And that had to be in the right spot. So there was a sweet spot that we found that was both for sight lines and for camera and technology and lighting, but we didn't really get it dialed in until we put the octagon on the floor.
So after 31 years, I mean, if you look back to how you guys started to what you guys are today at this point, how do you top this? Like, how do you move on in the future with this?
So we always ask that question. And one of the things that we've always done, as far as you notice, when I do new television deals, I never let the network control our production. We always control the production. It's more expensive and it's obviously a pain in the ass, but it's what we love. We love controlling our own destiny when it comes to production and many other things. Every time new technology comes out in the sports world, we jump right on it. And we if we're not first, we're definitely one of the leaders in using it. And technology is only getting better. And I say this all the time. When you think about HBO, who was looked at as the gold standard in boxing, the only thing that ever changed in the 30 years that they were doing boxing was HD. They never really, they never pushed the limits like we do. I mean, why do this? Why do the Sphere? We run a great business. We can do lots of things. We know what our budget is. We run our model. We have a business work. I like to do that. I like to take things to the next level. I like to try to give the fans better experiences with our product, and we will always continue to do that.
Dana, you talked, and this is one of my last ones. We're running out of time, obviously. Dana, you talked about this back in July, and I still want to ask you anyway. First off, you shut down the whole battle for Las Vegas with Canelo, and you pointed towards executives at MGM for not letting you know soon enough about the data at T-Mobile Arena. But knowing that Canelo has been headlining for quite some time, I guess the last 9-10 years, wouldn't that be the automatic pick for Canelo's team to just go after this date? Because you seem pretty upset about it.
Who does?
You seem pretty upset about that.
I'm not upset with Canelo or Heyman or any of those guys. What I was upset with was the guys that run the arena that didn't have enough class to call us and tell us, oh, hey, these guys are going for this date, they're doing this or whatever. It's about respect with these guys. That it's not even an issue. It is what it is. But if it didn't happen, if they didn't fuck us over again, we wouldn't be doing the Sphere right now. So believe me, I'm far from upset. I've been dealing with these guys for 20-something years. I'm glad it happened. It was perfect. It led us to sitting right here having this conversation with you. And I understand that Canelo and other great Mexican fighters have had these dates for years, but there's 2 dates. You got Cinco de Mayo and you got Independence Day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm taking one of them. Period.
I got you to say the F word. I mean, I still somehow I did. So that's great. And the last one, really quick. Traditionally, you have 13 to 15 fights in the card, but this time it's limited to 10. Are we expecting anything added, or this is it?
No, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Any reason why?
I'll let him expand.
Yeah, there very early on, I mentioned to Dana and the matchmakers that we needed to keep it. We didn't need to, but the strong preference was to keep it to 10 because there's so much work that goes into the creative behind each fight and the world that they're going to fight within. That with the time that we were allotted, this 4-month window, I just didn't feel like the production value would be there if we added more fights. So for our production value to be at the highest level across all of the fights for the night, 10 was the sweet spot. That was the extent of it. If we went any further, we'd start to water down the production value, I felt.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Appreciate the talk and the time, man.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks.
You have a good one.
We'll see you at Noche.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.